Gonna just go across town to Nashville. Ty Evans, the new women's coach at Tennessee State, joins us. Coach, welcome to Nashville. Welcome to the OVC.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Take us through this journey, which lands you on John Merritt Boulevard.
How much time you got?
Well, we got a couple hours, but if you could condense it a little bit, we'd appreciate it.
Well, it's an interesting journey to say the least. I got the call coincidentally to interview a day before I was about to go back home. I'm from Wisconsin originally, so I got the call to interview the day before I buried my grandmother. My grandmother had been sick for a while, but she was the matriarch of the family. I was the oldest grandchild. So when I got the call, I guess it's safe to say that my mind wasn't really on basketball at the time. And a lot of people don't know this. I had been turned down for probably about 115 jobs. So when Tennessee State called, I wasn't too confident, not from the standpoint of me not being able to do the job. I just had heard the story before. My focus was really on home, trying to be there for my family. So I took the call from Coach Bell and said, I'm willing to interview on Monday. I'll be back, Sunday night. So it didn't really hit me until Monday morning that I didn't have a suit. The only suit I had was the suit that I buried my grandmother in. So needless to say, to make a long story short, I did that first Zoom interview in the same suit that I buried my grandmother in. And subsequently, they called me back that night and said they wanted to interview me again. So I felt like it was a good sign. So for all three interviews, I wore the exact same thing. And needless to say, it worked out for me.
Absolutely. That is a tremendous story. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sorry for your loss. I'm the oldest one too, and I lost my grandmother recently, so I can totally relate to you.
I appreciate that.
I can totally relate to you in that regard. Okay. So we get the job, maybe a little unexpectedly, not a part of the X's and O's that but part of some past experiences that kind of played into that. So classic media question, right? What surprised you and what did you find pretty much as expected when you arrived in Nashville?
That's actually a good question. Nothing really surprised me, just from the fact that I felt like I was well prepared. A lot of those no's, I took them personally in the beginning, but after a while, I just took them as teaching points and lessons. And I had a great mentor in Coach Flo at Auburn who would constantly talk to me and give me certain appointments that I don't think a lot of other associate head coaches had at that particular time. She gave me a lot of responsibility. So there were a lot of things that I had already been abreast to that didn't really surprise me. I'll tell you what, the biggest thing though was just the timing of it, because I got the job so late. And then obviously I got it in the middle of a pandemic. So those were the biggest issues. It wasn't necessarily the job.
So as assessing the personnel, there's a reason why you're here, Ty, and things just did not go well last year. And assessing the personnel, kind of tell me where you are.
Well, where I am is I like to look at it like it's a clean slate. And the first thing I told the young ladies, when I accepted the job, I called them right after the press conference, and I said, "Look, very first thing I said, look, you guys didn't choose me. I chose you. I wasn't here last year. I don't care what happened last year. I know what the record was. We all do. But usually when you're 4-24, really they were 2-24, because I don't count the wins against Fisk and Wilberforce. I'm just being completely honest with you. So really and truly, they won 2 Division I games last year. That usually speaks to a lot of other issues, and I don't know any of them. I'm not saying they were on the floor, off the floor, but when you win 4 games, I guarantee you 8 to 10 of those losses probably happened before they even hit the floor. So my thing was, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to install my culture. Not saying the last culture was wrong. I don't know. Once again, I wasn't here, but our whole deal since we've been here is just installing our culture. And our culture revolves around, first of all, you got to have fun. I mean, basketball is a game, man. It's a game. When you were younger and you started playing, you wouldn't have kept playing if it wasn't fun. So that's definitely one of our core values. We just like to have fun. And if you love to play the game, you're going to want to compete. So everything we do involves competition, and I'm big when it comes to accountability. If you make a mistake, just own it and get past it. So we talk a lot about being accountable for your own actions, and I'm very competitive. There's a reason why, there's a winner and there's a loser. There's a reason why there's a scoreboard. There's a reason why when you play pickup, people kept score. So if you're not competitive, you're not going to be successful. And then the most important thing is just servant leadership. You got to put others before yourself. And those are the things that I live by. And those are the things that I'm definitely giving to our basketball team. And those are things that we talk about every single day. So that's the most important thing. And I think that if you really focus on that, then winning becomes a byproduct of that.
So those of us in the media love to put a label on it, right? Okay, Ty Evans' team is this or this or this. So how would you describe, and you touched on it a bit briefly, but when I go to the Gentry Complex and watch your team play, what should I expect?
I can't give you all the secrets.
Well, one or two would be fine. I mean, it's just preseason.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Well, I'm a Gemini. You know what they say about Geminis? We're like three different people, right? So expect,
okay.
look, so expect to be uncomfortable. If you're the opposing team, you're definitely going to be uncomfortable. Expect a team that's relentless. Expect a team that plays with a chip on their shoulder. Expect a team that feels like they've been disrespected, because I coach from the standpoint of how I felt, as I was coming up as a coach. So there's definitely a chip on my shoulder. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, this job was so attractive. I know what they're saying, why would you leave Auburn to go to Tennessee State? Obviously the other coaches and some of the media people picked us 12 out of 12 for a reason. We got 5 seniors coming back, so I understand, I get it. I completely understand, but best believe we're talking about it every single day.
So who has been a mentor of yours along the way? You mentioned a couple of folks, but who's been kind of that influence, that mentor, maybe whom you would shape your coaching career after?
I have quite a few. I don't necessarily have that one. And a lot of my mentors are from afar. Obviously Coach Flo is someone that's very important to me. She gave me an opportunity, not only at Auburn, but also at Georgetown. And we talk pretty much every other day. So she's definitely been like a big sister to me. I'm also a big fan of Jerry Tarkanian. I'm also a big fan of Lenny Acuff. I'm also a big fan of John McClendon, who coincidentally coached right here at Tennessee State. His name is on the floor. I'm also a big fan of Nolan Richardson. So I take a little bit from everybody and I kind of mix it into like this little gumbo. And then I came up with my own philosophy. But those are some of the people that I was inspired by.
So suffice to say, teams better be expected to play 94 feet against you.
We're going to press you as soon as you get off the bus. I can promise you that.
Do you think you have the athletes right now to be able to accomplish that?
Not necessarily about athletes. I think it's about a mentality. I know a lot of athletes who don't want to play that way. So then they don't look like they're supposed to play. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and say that the personnel is exactly how I want it, but once again, we're going to make do with what we have. We're going to be extremely competitive. We're going to have fun. And our goal right now, I tell our players every single day, when that game clock says 0-0-0, you want that other team to walk off the floor and saying, gosh, I don't want to play them anymore. I'm glad that game is over. So that's the mindset.
Love the mix of coaches you just mentioned. I could still see Tark chewing on the towel. I could see Nolan Richardson as well. And ironically, his son coached at Tennessee State as well. And so
exactly.
That's a great tidbit or history factoid we could throw out there as well. So when can we expect, or what do you expect from this conference? What has been your view of it from afar, still in the South, but kind of afar, and kind of your early takes on this conference?
Well, I'm a junkie, so I've been following the OVC for a while. I've been following Coach McMillan at Tennessee Martin. One of his assistant coaches was one of my favorite players to watch, Jasmine Newsom, back in 2013. So I'm a basketball junkie. I've been watching the OVC for a while. It's a league full of great coaches. And it's a league full of great players. There's a reason why teams at the Power Five hesitate to schedule teams from the OVC, because it's a big time basketball league on the men's side and on the women's side. So I'm extremely familiar with it. And I knew what I was walking into before I got here. And that's one of the reasons why I was intrigued about the position, because it puts me in company with a lot of great coaches and coaches who I can learn from.
Have you got Penny Collins in your ear yet, or is he be keeping it to himself and you the same?
No, that's my guy right there. That's my guy. I mean, we've already developed what I would consider a brotherhood. You know, very, very good basketball coach, but even a better person. You know, he's going to do great things. He's already starting to do great things. Don't get me wrong here at Tennessee State, but I honestly believe that the best is yet to come for the men's basketball program. I've watched his practices. I've picked his brain. We talk quite a bit. We pretty much have lunch together every day. So he's definitely not quiet. That's for sure. But that's my guy.
Oh, we really enjoyed him and enjoyed having him in the conference, and you as well. Ty Evans, head women's coach at Tennessee State. A pleasure to get to meet you, and we will for sure see you along the way.
Thanks, Bob. Looking forward to it.
All right.